Welcome to Homework Review Unit 6, Lesson 1, Activity 50. Problem number 3 was assigned for homework. Before we begin the homework review, let's pause for just a second and review absolute and comparative advantage. Do you know the difference? If not, remember that absolute advantage is when a country can absolutely produce something faster or can absolutely produce more of the good or service within a certain time period. Comparative advantage is a situation in which the country can produce at a lower opportunity cost than the other country. In comparing two countries, it's possible for one country to have the absolute advantage in the production of both goods. However, it is not possible for one country to have comparative advantage in both goods. And the reason is because comparative advantage means that you have a lower opportunity cost than the other country. One of the keys with AP, remember, is to always highlight the important information in the question so that you know exactly what they're asking. In this case, for A, we see that they're actually asking us which country has the absolute advantage in the production of computers. So I'm going to circle computers, and then we're going to look which one can absolutely do it faster or produce more. So we see that Japan can produce one computer within 1 hour, while the United States requires 2 hours to produce that one computer. Who has the absolute advantage? Who can absolutely do it faster? And obviously 1 hour is faster than 2 hours. So we see that Japan has the absolute advantage in the production of computers. Okay, now what about the production of automobiles? Who has the absolute advantage in the production of automobiles? And we're going to do the same thing, and we see that 4 hours is definitely faster. So again, Japan wins. Japan can absolutely produce automobiles faster than the United States, and Japan can absolutely produce computers faster than the United States. But does that mean that Japan should produce both computers and automobiles? And the answer is Japan should not produce both computers and automobiles, because remember, for each automobile that Japan is producing, they're giving up some of the production of those computers. And for each computer that Japan is producing, they're giving up the production of some of those automobiles. And we first examined this concept with the production possibilities frontier, and it's also sometimes called a production possibilities curve, and that's the same thing. Whether we see PPF or PPC, it's the same thing. Okay, and on to question C. Who has the comparative advantage in the production of computers? In calculating comparative advantage, we need to find who has the lower opportunity cost. So in order to calculate the opportunity cost, remember when we were looking at output problems, which is what we looked at first because they were the easiest, we memorized that formula of whatever we're doing over whatever we're giving up. The doing goes in the denominator, and what we're giving up goes up there in the numerator. But is this an output problem? No, this is an input problem. How do we know that it's an input problem? Because we're actually given the number of labor hours instead of number of total output, total products that can be produced. So how do we turn the input problem into an output problem? Or how do we solve without doing so is that we simply reverse it. So we're going to do both methods in this video in order to show or prove that both methods will result in the same answer. So the first method that we're going to use is turning the input problem into an output problem. Now this one's a little bit new. We just looked at this one the other day, but it's fairly easy. We just use the same formula we put whatever we're doing in the denominator. So our doing goes in the denominator, D in the denominator, and whatever we're giving up goes up here. Okay, so what are we doing here? We're actually producing computers. The problem says in the production of computers. So the denominator is going to be computers. Now let's pick a country, the United States. If the United States is producing computers, it takes 2 hours to produce a computer. So how many could they produce in 1 hour? 1/2. We're just going to turn that into a fraction. And then what are they giving up? They're giving up the production of automobiles. Exactly how many? Within 1 hour, 1/5 of a computer within 1 hour. So this is our automobiles. And now simply to complete this math by reducing, 1/5 is 0.2, 1/2 is going to be 0.5, and 2/5 equals 0.4. So that's the United States. Now let's use the same method and look at Japan. Okay, let's say Japan is doing this. They're producing computers. What are they giving up? Automobiles. In 1 hour, Japan can produce 1 computer. In 1 hour, Japan can produce 1/4 of an automobile. It takes 4 hours to produce one, so within 1 hour they can produce 1/4. Now to reduce, 0.25 over 1 is equal to 0.25. So the opportunity cost for Japan of producing computers in terms of automobiles is 1/4 or 0.25 of an automobile. For the United States, the opportunity cost of producing computer in terms of automobiles, what they're giving up is 0.4. Now we see that 0.4 is greater than 0.25, and we want to go with the country with the lowest opportunity cost. So in this case, it's going to be Japan. Japan should produce the computers. So based on our answer, Japan should produce the computers. Let's see if we get the same answer if we just simply reverse it. So instead of turning the input problem into an output problem, this time we're going to use the method of reversing it. So just reverse it. So instead of putting whatever we're giving up there in the numerator and whatever we're doing in the denominator, we're going to reverse it. We're going to put whatever we're doing in the numerator and whatever we're giving up in the denominator. Okay, again, let's start with the United States. And let's use this formula here. So whatever we're doing in the United States is producing computers. So we're just going to put that 2 right there in the numerator and whatever we're giving up, which is going to be the automobiles, in the denominator. So we have 2/5. 2/5 is going to reduce to 0.4. Now let's do the same thing for Japan. So that was the United States, and now we want to look at Japan. Okay, whatever they're doing, Japan is producing computers, so that's 1. And again, it's going to go in the numerator this time. And whatever they're giving up is going to go in the denominator, which is automobiles, and we're going to use the 4 hours because that's how many they can produce in 1 hour. We actually are going to end up with 1/4 or 0.25. Now, again, who has the lower opportunity cost? And notice we come up with the exact same numbers as we did before. For the United States, if they are producing computers, they are giving up 0.4 automobiles, while Japan is only giving up 0.25 automobiles in the production of computers. So again, for using that greater than or less than sign here, we see that 0.4 is greater than 0.25 or 0.25 is less than 0.4. So the comparative advantage in either case is going to go to Japan, who should produce computers. And finally, remember to always answer the questions thoroughly. We have not only had to answer which country has the comparative advantage in the production of computers, we also have to explain why, because it says there, because. So to number one, always show your work. So we have shown our work here. So the next thing is because Japan has a lower opportunity cost in the production of computers. In terms of automobiles. So be sure that you always answer the question, answer it thoroughly. So Japan has a comparative advantage in the production of computers because Japan has a lower opportunity cost in the production of computers in terms of automobiles. Okay, next question, D. Who has the comparative advantage in the production of automobiles? Okay, always show your work, except this time you've already shown your work. You've shown it with the calculation of opportunity cost in computers. Because you know who has the comparative advantage in the production of computers, it's going to be the other country or the other good. So there's several ways to state this answer of because, but we know that since Japan has the lower opportunity cost in the production of computers, then the United States will have the lower opportunity cost in the production of automobiles So whenever one country has the lower opportunity cost in one good, we know automatically that the other country will have the lower opportunity cost in producing the other good. Finally, the last two questions that we're going to answer in this video are going to be E and F, and we're going to use a different video to explain G and H. Question E, based only on the data above and comparative advantage considerations, the United States should specialize in, well, we just answered that here. The answer is automobiles. F, based only on the data above and comparative advantage considerations, Japan should specialize in, and we found that they should. Japan had the lower opportunity cost in the production of computers, so that is exactly what Japan should produce. Now, in the next video, we're going to see that actually we're going to end up with more computers and automobiles than if each individual country had produced individually without specialization in trade.